What's up, guys? Grimmy here again. Today, I'm going to introduce a plugin. I know, it's not a Lua script. Who'd have thunk it? I've been trying to learn C++ a little, as well as get better at what I did already know. And the easy way for me to do that is to work on something in C++ with a large community that can help me figure stuff out. So, thus we have a plugin. Now, what is this plugin, you ask? Well, I'm going to call it GrimGUI. It's going to replace a bunch of the stuff here in MyUI. So we've replaced my buffs, my group, player target, spells, and pet. Those are the main ones that we're going to replace. I'm going to leave that open though because it'll be handy in a little bit for part of this. But first off, without further ado, let's fire up GrimGUI. So plug in GrimGUI. First time you log in, on any character that doesn't or hasn't already loaded this plugin, you're going to get this window here. This is your main window. It's basically just your toggle window, and once you've set all these, you should never have to see it again, because once you close it, you have to forcefully open it. Now, in here, toggles for all your different windows. Player window, target window if you split it out of the player window, pet window, spells, buffs, songs, group, etc. Let's just, and then down here in your output, let me make this a little bit bigger, maybe just so it fits on one screen. Okay, so you got GrimGUI show. It's going to toggle this on and off. It'll also spit out this help window. If you just do GrimGUI, it'll spit the help window and toggle this, because I'm assuming that's what you want it to do. GrimGUI lock will lock all the windows, except for the main one and the config one. Those ones I do allow you to move around. As well, and those are the other ones. And then any window name, so GrimGUI player, target, pet, group, spells, buffs, songs, or config will toggle that window open or closed. So we can demonstrate here with GrimGUI player. We'll get player target open. Now, because target's not open, it's going to be grouped into players. So if I target myself, I get that. And I mean, everybody knows who my characters are on EMU, but I'm going to throw on MQ Anon because that shows you this feature. If you're recording, you will keep, and you turn on MQ Anon, you're going to mask your any player name. It won't mask NPCs, but it will mask players. So that's kind of handy. I don't have any other characters logged in right now. Let me pause real fast. Hang on a second. Alright, there we go. Now we got some characters logged in. I think one's in the zone with me and one is not, which is going to be perfect. So we have a pet window. I'm going to pop that open too. That's over here. So a couple of key things. Let me open up the group window too, because these two kind of go hand in hand. If I click this guy, yes, your click invite does work. You can kick him out too. So re-invite him and kick my button and invite all the guys online. This character is not in the zone. That's why you get this. You get a name. If you've already been in the zone with them, you'll know what their level is. But otherwise, you're going to get a 0 for a level. And we box this out just to kind of preserve at least this much space between all the characters. Now, on that note, while we're looking at these, I can also pop open Big Bag here. I love Big Bag. This thing is so cool. So if I'm close enough to a guy and I pick this up and I drop it here, it opens the trade window. So that's kind of cool. At which point, whatever, I'll give that to him. Do the same thing to your pet. And if I get my other character in here, so let me just tell him to run to the guild hall door and come in. Maybe he'll show up fast enough, but if it's another character that has a pet, you can drop it on the pet bar here. Well, I guess I could demonstrate. So you can do it this way as well. So anything above the pet bar is the character, and if you click the pet bar itself, it'll trade to that pet. I don't know if he got close enough or not to the door yet. Who knows where I left him. Closing that out now. I'm going to open up the buff window real quick because we're going to go over some settings. And actually, we'll open up the spell window too. So first things first. On the pet window, you get a visual indicator if you can see him. Same thing with your target. This is your con level for your target. and you can right click and inspect a buff. On the regular buff window, you get a couple more options like remove a buff, or you can block a buff, or inspect a buff. So those work. As well as down here on the target, you can inspect target buffs. So that's kind of cool. On your spell window, you can click and hold. Oops, I accidentally double clicked and held. It'll pick it up so that you can drag it and drop it someplace onto like a hotbar, and it'll create your hotbar for you. You can also right click to unmem. You can alt click to inspect. And because no one likes searching through a spell book, if you right click over here, you get a nice spell picker. This is based off of a Quiet One's ability picker. I just kind of slowly started transitioning this over to C++. But so far I only did the spells because that's what I needed. Now it breaks it down, sorts by category, subcategory, and then level, highest to lowest. But you also have a search filter, so you can search for, like, say I got an invoke spell, I don't know what the name of the pet one is. Hey, it's invoke death, but there's also a fear that's invoke fear. So that's an option. You can find the spell like Restless Bones or this. I don't have a resurrection on this guy that's spelled with res, but you know what I mean. This list is populated when you log in with the plugin on, or when you first load the plugin and you're already in game. Once you've logged in and it populates, it's not going to change when you automatically change when you memorize more spells or anything. So what you're going to have to do is click this bad boy here, this refresh. If you gain a bunch of levels, memmed a bunch of spells, it's going to reload this table for you with your current spell data. And that's just to save on, reading 800 spell slots out of a book constantly. But then the other bonus is, yeah, I can still click and it'll mem a spell. In this case, it dememmed it because it was already memmed. That's another cool little feature. So then we get into the configs. Now we can go look at configs. I already kind of went over these, or no, I didn't. You have color coding. I've remade this video like 5 times fixing random little quirks in the middle, so sorry, I keep recompiling. This guy lets you customize your maximum and your minimum colors because these are progressive bars, and that's for all of your progress bars. If you want them to not change color, just set your minimum and your maximum to the same color. In fact, if you click these, you can copy this out and just paste it into there and it'll equal the same thing. So that's color settings. Window sliders. We have, if I clear my target here and turn on attack, see down here on this target bar, we got some flashy red border. That's my indicator that I'm attacking. You can slow that down. 0's off. 1, if you can get it to 1, you can control click on this. 1 is every half a second or so. These are in milliseconds, so a 1 is a 500 millisecond pause, and a 500 is a 1 millisecond pause. That's why you can kind of tweak out your poor monitor there. I find that happy median's around like 120, 130. Sometimes I'll go up to like 200 if I really need that attention grabber, but above that's not really worth it. There's also the one below it is for your buffs. And when your buff timer gets below 18 or something seconds, they'll want to flash. So you can set how fast those flash. I generally keep my buff timers down around 30 to 40. So it's not as ridiculous of a flash because it's going, blacks out, comes back. You can set your icon sizes, and this will affect all your buff icons. This window is adjustable. You can toggle these off and on. So if I don't want to see the name, I just want to see the icons, I can. Or I don't care about the timer, I can look that up with a mouse over or something, that you get options. I tried to do that for every table. So over here, you can do the same thing. You can resort them or toggle off, say you don't want to see pet buffs. Let me jack that icon size up real quick. Your pet buff scrolls on its own. Down here in your target window, this scrolls, and this is its own table, so it doesn't matter. But yes, they all scroll. These ones just don't bother with a bar, because I thought it looked kind of ugly. It doesn't matter on this window, in my opinion. So I'm going to jack those back down. For some reason the 20s seems to be nice. I can see. So then we get down into this timer. I think I mentioned that. So your buff timer threshold. This is the 1 hour and down. So basically 0 is off. You can control click this because I currently have a bunch of buffs that are at 4 hours. So let's just jack this up to like 70,000. Oh, there you go. Now you see the hour and a half. Throw an extra 0 on, you can see them all. So you can tweak this. This is how many seconds are left on the timer before you care about the timer showing up. Generally I'm at like the 60-second to 120-second range, because if it's under 2 minutes I kind of care, but other than that I don't really care. But again, that's up to you. You can do what you want with it. Player bar height. This is going to affect, as you can see, your player and your pets bars. So that's these two that you see scaling, trying to find a nice happy median, whatever you want to set that to. Target bar, that one, I tend to do, I'm going to bring this back up again. I tend to do a little bigger on the target bar myself, because the default's like here, and that's good if you just want to care about the percentage. But if I bring it down a little bit, now I have a background over this. So I have level, class, body type, and then a con color. So that's kind of nice. Right below that I have an aggro meter that generally around 13 or 14, whatever is just going to cover that text is my goal. This is the secondary aggro person, this is your aggro percentage, and this is the secondary aggro person's percentage. Group bars, again, you can scale those as big or as small as you want. The pet bar is a 80% size of these bars, so it's not too intrusive for you. Again, I tend to just leave all these down at the like 10 because I don't really need them that big, but I can mouse over. If it's you, you can see your own health and mana, otherwise you get a percentage. Same thing up here, you get your own health and mana, otherwise you get percentage. Spell gem bar. So you can scale the size of these as well. I did try to make it so that you get a timer and you got a nice little cast window. I don't know what else to add to that one. I don't really need a spell book because of the ability picker, so I don't need that button. Then we got toggles. There's two. I mentioned this. Title bar toggle also takes away the only menu bar, and that's on the player window with some quick little shortcuts, because I figure this is probably the window you're going to have open the most or never turn off, and so you have at least a couple of options. If you lock the windows, it locks all of these except for this one and this one. Those are the only two that don't get locked, and that's just because you might want to move around your config, because yeah, I can resize, I can't move. So if I want to move this out of the way, it's helpful to not have that locked as well. Again, you can toggle that on and off with commands or through the window. Now we have themes, because it's a Grimier product, it's got to have themes. So you can pick between any of these themes. What does it got? 6 plus default. I'm partial to grape. I spent a lot of time on that one, honestly. But I tend to do a couple of them different colors, so thus, why not give you the options to theme all of them differently instead of trying to make everything follow the same suit. So you can have different windows and different colors. I'm trying to avoid lime, but I'll do lime and turn this on just to show you how bright that is. It's obnoxiously green, but it's there. Pet window, there's some buttons. You can turn these on and off. So if you don't need swarm or regroup, or you're too low level to deal with, like focus, you can toggle those things off. Or there's just buttons you never use, go for it. This is resizable. These buttons will reshape themselves to not try to step on each other. Same thing with buffs. Again, if the buffs are too low, you can scroll that window. If the buttons are too low, you can scroll that window. It's trying to leave this part alone and at the top at all times. I tend to do a 4x2. That's my favorite. And then here. So if I turn off title bars, because I use them to move stuff around. You don't really need them to move stuff around, but they're helpful. You get a nice cleaner look, and I also take away that menu bar just because if I didn't, you'd see the gray stripe with menu. It's, I don't know, to me aesthetically unpleasing. So I'll use my titles, move stuff around, put it where I want, and then toggle it off when I'm done. I haven't added a setting for that one. So the only time we save your settings, aside from saving an initial config if you didn't have one already, is when you click save. So you could go through and clean up and do all of these settings and then not save it and you run around with it. You'll use those settings that whole session. Great way to test out how you like stuff. But don't forget to save. And the only reason I did that is because honestly, actually there's a bunch of stuff that changes as you change the settings, so that's not quite exactly true. Like these toggles will save automatically. So if you toggle windows on and off, that does save. If you close a window, it will untoggle itself. So if I go back in here and turn back on these title bars, if I turn off spells, it untoggles and it saves. So those are the only settings that will save on the fly when you do it. So the next time you log in, it just remembers that. Any of the settings that you toggle in here are not set to just save automatically for you, and that's so that you can play around with it. But these will, because those are what are toggling your windows on and off. So anything you want to set in here, you can. I did mention, or maybe I didn't, I don't remember, I'll check this in post. Who cares if I repeat myself? At character select, you can still open up this window and this window. Because I want to give you the ability to preset all these things on the default before your other characters log in so that they get a copy of that as their default instead of, okay, I logged in a new character, let me go configure their colors, configure their sliders, configure all their themes and all of the other things. You can build a base because you're already going to have a default, so you can work on the default one at character select, and then it will be the default for the rest. Again, you can't see these windows because they're trying to read data from you being in game, so I'm not going to crash you because of that. But you can toggle them on and off, and I mean, generally, once you've set up one, you have a general idea what you want these to be, and you could even just copy your characters file and save it as the GrimGUI without the character name on it file, and that will become the new base one. I believe that is everything. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. You guys have a wonderful day. Ciao.